Hello and welcome to Tech Tuesday. For those of you who don't know, my name is Johan, and today we're going to talk a bit about Flutter, more specifically Flutter's state management. So just a quick overview. Firstly, I will be talking about a bit of theory about what is state management. Then we can go into actual code preview, which I will actually be implementing state management into an app. We have a very basic tech demo app, which we will be implementing dark mode into. And then lastly, we will answer some questions. But you are more than welcome to ask questions in the chat. It will come through, and then we could just answer them afterwards. Um, right, so here we go. Normally, the first question you get when talking about state management is what is state? So you can think of state as water. So water is water. It just changes its state from liquid to solid or a gas. And that's exactly how state works in Flutter. It's the same widgets, it's the same UI, you just change a few properties and the screen updates. So this is a very basic concept of how it works. As you can see, you have your state that you pass into a build function, and that returns your UI. A bit more practical example would be something like this. You have your build function. If you pass true, you get a switch that is on, and if you pass false, then you get a switch that is off. So it stays a switch. It's just its state that changes. So there are actually two types of state in Flutter. You get your local state and then you get your app state. An example of local state would be like changing the color of a button or the page you are on, or which highlighted item is highlighted in the bottom nav bar. Important to note is that local state should be local to that one widget, and shouldn't change based on something else. It should only do one thing, and that's update that widget's one property. On the other hand, we have app state, which is state that's been kept across the app. A good example of that would be notification count. It should stay 5 no matter what page you're on. Same with if your user should be logged in automatically or not, or a red status of an article. A good thing to remember is to know if it's app state or local state is if you switch screens and you come back to the previous screen, local state widgets should be reset to their first position, whereas app state should not have changed their state between switching screens. So how do you manage that? That's a very good question as well. Um, so Flutter is it's like a tree structure. It's a parent-child is how you build your UI. And then each widget has a build function that builds that specific UI for the widget, and also each parent has a UI. So if you a build function, so if you change the parent build, it will rebuild the children as well. And that's where we need to actually think about two stuff. So we need to update a specific widget, but we also don't want to rebuild our entire screen just to update the color of a button or change a button to checked or something like that. So as you can see in that example, we don't want to rebuild the entire product list each and every time you click add. We just want to rebuild that one add button. So that's where the management part comes in. Luckily for us, there are a few packages built by very smart people that can help us with this. All of these on screen are Flutter favorites, meaning that they did pass Flutter's code review. So they are high quality packages you can use. Some of them are like the provider package, set state, which is the one that it comes default with Flutter. It's the one that's most used throughout Flutter as well, and the one that the Flutter team uses to build their widgets with. Then there's also inherited widget, which is something we will be using today. Redux, Block, and RX, which should be familiar to the ones using Angular, which is also one we will be implementing today. And then the rest. yeah, so it's a good idea to have a look at these and then decide what you prefer. Um, like this is what should I use for your app? Um, that's a good question, and there is no answer for it. Good rule of thumb is to do whatever feels less awkward. If you feel that you just need to change a button, your entire app consists of just changing a button's color. You set state. That's the most basic one, and it's the easiest one to implement. Uh, but then again, you need to think about expanding your app, and will this be a valid solution in the future? So yeah, it's a trial and error process, and then you need to find the one that works best for you. So yeah, we're going to quickly jump over to the coding screen, and then I'll show you what state management solution works the best for me. Let's just hope you know how it is when presenting an app. Never goes according to plan, so let's just hope it goes through now. Yeah, so on the right here, we actually have our Tech Tuesday demo app. It's basically news articles, and then you can switch over to your profile screen where you can change some of your settings, including the dark mode button up there, which is not active at the moment. So now we need to, so the situation is we need to implement dark mode. And we need to implement it in a place where it's accessible to all widgets within the app. We don't want to change one screen and then when the user navigates back, it's back in white mode. That's not a very good user experience in my opinion. Yeah, so we need to figure out the highest possible or the lowest possible actually position for our state, which will affect all necessary widgets. And unfortunately for our app, it's going to be at the very, very top level because we want to rebuild everything as soon as that button is clicked. Right, so how would we do that? Flutter comes with a widget called Stream Builder, which rebuilds the UI each time the stream is updated. So a stream you can see as a pipe. It has an input and it has an output. Whatever you throw on the one side comes straight through and is displayed on the other side. Which is perfect for our example because we don't necessarily want to change the UI only on our first page, like our initial load page. We want to do it throughout the app. So I'm going to cut our main app, and then rather than returning a material app, we're going to return a stream builder. Right. So the stream builder has a couple of properties we need to fill in. Firstly, and most importantly, is our builder, which returns a new context and also a snapshot. And that so the build function is called each and every time the stream is updated, and then the data is passed into this. It rebuilds whatever is in that return function. Right, so now we have our builder set up. There's two more stuff we need. The first one is we need to link this stream builder onto a stream. But where do we find this, and how do we make it accessible across our app? So I've already created an actual block class for us, which I'll step through now. Okay, so there's our theme block, which looks like this. So in a block, we usually use there's three items we always need. It's our subject, which should be familiar to all Angular developers here using RX, and observables. It's pretty much the same as an observable. So we give it a type of app theme. We then create out of that observable, we create the stream. And then we also have an update function, which is we call this to like I explained in our previous example, throw the stuff into the one side of the pipe, and then the stream is where we get the data from. And then it's also important to have it disposed. We want to close the stream as soon as we're not on the page anymore or the page gets destroyed. Uh, Otherwise, that's a very good recipe for memory leaks. So in the just on on toggle, this is the function that our toggle button will call. As you can see, it takes a theme, and then it just takes that theme and puts it in our update, meaning it takes it in on one side and pushes it through to the stream builder on this side. Okay, so now let's quickly add our block.stream. So we have a stream connected to this. Right. So and then next we need to actually think about what's in the stream at the moment. We just created it, so there's no data in, meaning that if we reference the block or stream any place throughout the app, it's just going to say null. There's no data in this stream. We have two options. We can firstly we can say that we can add a check to see if there is data in the stream, and if not, build a loader and get the data. Or we can do what we will be doing today, is have an initial data thing, and then just have our first item in our stream. I'm going to add it as our light theme, just to be consistent. Right, so there we go. So now we have our stream builder, and we have our initial data, and we've subscribed our stream. So now we need to reference this block, because the update function is in it. We need to reference it on our profile page. So there's also two ways we can do this. The firstly is pass it down our widget tree, which in this case is about 5 widgets, meaning that each and every widget in this tree has to have a parameter for block, and it needs to pass it through to the next word. It's not a bad idea if you've only got like 1 or 2 widgets, but anything more than 3 widgets in your tree that you need to pass it through, it's not a good idea. It gets messy, and I would rather use an inherited widget. And that's exactly what we would be doing now. So an inherited widget is an abstract class, so you can extend from it. So I've created a theme provider, very simply because it provides us with our theme. It takes a theme parameter, and it also takes a block, and then you need to wrap it around a child in order for it to be in our widget tree and to reference it deeper down. And then this is also the function that we will be using to reference it. We call themeprovider.of, and then we get access to all these items in our tree. Alright, so let's quickly add that in. We need it to be dynamically updated, the theme in it. So it should be wrapped around our material app. So let's add our theme provider. Let's give it a child of material app, and let's add its properties. Let's add the block. We're just passing the block through, and we're giving it a theme. Now, because we want this to be dynamic and to be able to update, we can't just pass it a static theme like we did up there with the initial data, like themes.light. This is where we're going to pass in that stream builder snapshot. So we're going to call snapshot.data to get the current item in that stream, and that should be it. So each and every time the stream rebuilds, we'll update the theme provider, and we can reference that theme throughout our widget tree. So let's just hope we can actually build it now. Just performing a hard reload, and as soon as I press this button, it should update to dark mode. There we go. So you can see it's actually fairly simple to update the stream. You just press the button, and it goes into its new mode. So the reason specifically we use a stream builder is to be able to extend the usability of this block. Let's say, for instance, we've got more than one theme. It's easily, we just added a theme and just pass it a new parameter. This also gives us the option to look at this theme options, where we can actually, with our block, dynamically change the color of our app. So we can choose a nice brownish here color for our background. And there we go, it's been updated. And we can do the same for our text color, which I think we can make a nice bright pink. There we go. And then our button colors at the bottom, we can make something like a green. I think it's a good idea. Here we go. Yeah, you see, so it opens up a lot of possibilities to extend your states and not just have it as a switch you can flip. Yeah, so that's pretty much our coding example here. So any questions? I'll quickly have a look at the chat and see if there's any questions that came through. Doesn't seem like there's anything. Okay, I see that we have a question. What is block? Is it a Dart thing? No, it's just a shorthand term for calling it business logic component. It's pretty much just keeping your UI and your business logic separate. I'll quickly open up the profile page here. So you can actually see we have our alignments and our assets and everything there, but there's no actual business like calculations or anything happening on this side. That all happens in our block. So I can quickly, so you see there, we reference our block and we call our on background change function, which does this. It takes our current item and changes its background to whatever color we pass it. Is there anything else? Let's quickly see if there's any more questions. Nope, doesn't seem like it. Is there any questions you can quickly think of we can pass through or not? Okay, doesn't seem like it. All right, yep. So that's my story. I don't think there's anything else. So yeah, thank you very much for joining our stream, and see you next week.